On today's show, we're joined by three of the smartest and most experienced domain brokers in the industry. Alan Dunn finally joins us, along with Jeff Gabriel and Andrew Rosener. We intended to go according to the normal script, but in the end, I just kind of let them wander into whatever tangents were interesting because I figured we'd see what would come of it. I sure enjoyed the show. Hope you do too. Hey, Sherpa Network. I'm Tess Diaz, executive producer of DomainSherpa.com, and I'm delighted to have you joining us today. We are already laughing so hard. This is going to be a great show where we get into the minds of successful domain name investors using real examples so we can learn strategies and tactics to become better investors ourselves. We'll do the usual 3 segments to the review. First, learning what the Sherpas recently bought or sold. Next, we'll discuss in value an investor-submitted domain name portfolio. And finally, we'll preview some domains going to auction soon at NameJet.com and whether the Sherpas think they're a good investment opportunity for you. Joining us today, we have very exciting, perhaps unrecognizable, Andrew Rosener in a blazer.
Thanks for that.
Hi, Drew. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm trying to step up my game a little.
All right. Well, looking sharp. And Alan Dunn, I have perhaps slightly stalked you. I'm so excited that you joined us today. Alan, you are such a well-known figure in the industry, but you keep a pretty low profile. So managing director of namecorp.com, I hope we can get you to share as much as possible today. Thank you for joining us.
No, it's a pleasure to have you. I'm just happy to be here with Jeff, Andrew, and yourself. It's great.
Fabulous. And Jeff Gabriel, just talked to him a couple days ago of saw.com. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for having me as usual.
Of course. All right. Let's do this. So the first segment, what's new Sherpas? The Sherpas share one purchase or sale they've made over the past few weeks, and we get to learn what they paid or received for the domain, why they thought it was a good deal, and how the negotiations progressed. Remember not to say the price, because first you just say the domain, and then everybody guesses the price, then we hear all the details.
So I bought a domain, and it's confront.com. Hey, Jeff.
Yes, sir.
Your chest is kind of attractive, but it's like,
all right. There we go.
Your face is better.
There we
sort
go.
of.
Not much. Okay, here I am. Sorry. Here we are.
All right, so the domain is confront.com. We bought it, and you get to guess what we paid.
You purchased it, so that would be more. You personally bought it, right? Your company.
No, media options, yes, for inventory. It's no particular purpose, not for a client. You just
okay. You liked the name. You thought it'd be a great name. I think it's a good name, but it has kind of a negative connotation to me. Let me look, and I don't know if there's going to be a whole lot of companies named it. Are there companies named it, Drew? So I don't have to look it up and spend time. Are there any big companies?
There's no like billion-dollar companies called Confront.
Okay.
I don't think there's a particularly large number of end users, but
all right. So the thing that I see here is the very first result on Google for me is when the Merriam-Webster dictionary comes up first, and then obviously another definition of confrontation, which shows that instead of confront, confrontation is actually more popular. So if you're going to buy it for your own purposes, and then obviously the idea would be either for you, Drew, as I'm guessing that someday some company comes along to purchase it, you're going to sell it at some sort of a profit. So I'd probably say between like $35,000 and $40,000.
How dare you accuse me of something like that? I would never try to profit off of a domain name.
Yeah.
I would never do something like that.
I don't see why anyone would want to do that. I know we're all doing this for the goodness of our hearts.
This is a non-profit industry, really.
Damn right. Says Mother Teresa right above my door.
Wow.
As a slight segue, if you actually go back and read the first blog post that was ever posted on MediaOptions.com, I assume it's still there. I have no idea, to be honest with you. But the first blog post I ever posted was the 10 tenets of Charlie Tuna. Charlie Tuna was the nickname of my old boss from the fish business, and he had a big sign on the wall, and it was the 10 tenets of Charlie Tuna. And it was literally, these are the 10 things that matter to me. If I need to make a decision, I look at the 10 tenets. If I, expanding the business, do whatever decisions regarding his business, these are the 10 tenets. And, one of them was, I'm not Mother Teresa.
It's an important tenet. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Should be one of the top.
You have a lot of confused people out there that think they're in business to be Mother Teresa. And that's what nonprofits are for.
Justask.org. Okay.
So, give me some numbers.
So Jeff, off the cuff, you don't have to.
I said 35,000.
Okay. Alan, what do you think Drew paid for it?
Yeah, no, it's funny. I was going to say probably 35 to 50. I think it's a hard one for an end user, because there is a negative connotation. So I think the upside to maybe like 100,000 is pretty fair. But once you go past that, I think there's a lot of other options still kind of available. I do like the con part of it because it can stand for conference and a few other things.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a way to kind of use it, not negatively. And the search results are great because there's really nothing that shows up. It's a clean search result, which is, phenomenal. There's a lot of really good one words that you'll never rank for. You just will not.
Yeah.
This is a pretty good clean slate. But I think if Drew paid 75 to 100, I think there's just too much of a holding risk.
So I paid 15, and I thought that was a great buy. And for exactly the reason that you mentioned, Alan, even though I typically do like, to buy oneword.coms that have a lot of clear and apparent end users, lots of trademarks from lots of different categories, wide scope of potential use case. I like this one because more and more, like you said, it's becoming very difficult to find a namespace that's a blank slate. And this is a wide open namespace. There really are not many end users at all, and there are no dominant end users. So I think, for let's say some percentage of the companies coming into us that want to buy a name, they're just looking for a name. They're looking for a list of names to pick from. Some percentage of them, that's one of the major criteria is we're looking for somebody that's got sort of an open namespace. And so I liked it just for that. It's not a name I absolutely love by any stretch. And I think you're probably right. I think, it could have a little more juice on it than 100, maybe 150, but yeah, it's got a limited upside. But I do think it's a good name. It's an open namespace, and I was thinking exactly the way you are, that the con and the front can sort of there can be something else going on there. I think even though you guys both say it's a negative connotation, I think to confront your fears, to confront your addiction, to confront your pain, to confront your disease, I think that's a big part of this sort of emotional awakening that we're going through as a society, if we are a society. And so I thought confront could also be used from like a sort of mental health standpoint, from a sort of pain and suffering standpoint, from a sort of self-improvement. So I thought confront was, I think it has a positive angle as well, not just
it does. I mean, that's actually where I was going to go next. I mean, just the wellness. I mean, everybody's looking into wellness right now and everything. If you confront your challenges, mental health is huge. I mean, just the awareness.
Huge.
So it is. Yeah, it's a good name.
And how did you come across it? How did the negotiations go?
Somebody brought it to me and said, "You want this name?" That's it. There was. They're actually. I think they're well. They might have been at a little higher. I might have negotiated down a little bit. It might have been at like 20 or 25, and I negotiated down a little bit.
Well done. Yeah, congrats. That's a good name. All right, Jeff, you're up.
Thank you. To be fair, it came through an intermediary. It wasn't like the owner came to me.
Was it Mother Teresa?
It was Mother Teresa. She
confronted poverty.
Yep.
It was Pope John Paul.
So one of the salespeople, Rob Wilson, who works with me now, he actually just recently sold Techie.com.
Ooh.
And it was Teky. So it's a different sort of spelling than the way other people would spell it.
We're brokering Techie, the right spelling, and somebody was like farting around. They were close, and then they backed down and disappeared. Looks like they probably bought Rob's name.
Potentially. So then they'll probably be coming back to you in the future when they realize that a lot of their customers might be coming to your customer's way, right?
When they realize they got a hole in the bucket.
They got a hole in the bucket, dear Liza. But I think it's a great sounding name. It's obviously forward thinking. It's a great brand. But the problem is when you advertise it on the radio, you're going to either have to spell it out or, you're going to have potential issues with that. So obviously the price will reflect some of those shortcomings. But again, it's great sounding. It's short, to the point. And I actually really like the name.
Was this someone who came to you requesting assistance with an acquisition, or were you outbound selling Techie.com?
This person was one of is a customer that came to us to purchase the name.
Okay. All right. So Alan, what do you think that they brokered Techie.com for? What price?
Who owned the name?
FMA owned the name.
Okay. How do you spell it again?
You guys are breaking all the rules.
What are the rules supposed to be?
What are the rules? Yeah.
There's no like ancillary information supposed to be given prior to. I'm open to refining those rules because.
But you gave it information saying that you personally purchased it.
Right. I mean, we all know that's
that's important, right? Because did you sell it at wholesale or at retail, or did you buy it for a client, or were you buying it for inventory? Those are very defining characteristics, right?
Sure.
So that's sort of critical. But anyways, proceed accordingly. We're throwing those rules out the window for today.
Hey, can we just mute Andrew for a minute? How do you spell Techie again, Jeff?
The way this domain name is spelled is Teky.
Oh, Teky? It's a pretty good brand. I have to look it up, but I mean, I would think based on the owner and a few other things, probably 100 to 125. It's like it's
Whoa.
very.
Yeah, I'm going lower. I'm going $48,000 is my guess.
Again, that's extremely high for the
really
situation on that. Yeah.
Well,
so this is the problem with giving ancillary information. The moment you say that it's an FMA name, we both go high. If I was looking at this in a vacuum, I probably would have been more like 25, 30. But anyways, my guess is 48, so I got to stand by it.
That's the area that you should have gone with your gut. Just like I wanted to go with my gut on yours, but I went a little higher. So this one sold for $15,000.
It's a good name. And the whole reason that everybody guesses
that's a good deal.
Isn't to make you look bad when you find out all the information. It's to see what it would be in a vacuum before all these different factors, and also to just see how you're judging the market and why. Your thought process is more important than your actual number guess, So Jeff, you have a 4letter.com, but it doesn't really pass the radio test. And there are lots and lots of other options someone could go with, like especially for being techie, you can go with a .ai, a .io, whatever.
You can go TECI, TECY, TEKY, TKI,
but at the end of the day, startups buy a starter home. This is their starter home, or maybe their first time upgrading. And not every startup can begin with the absolute best version of their name.
No,
so,
but for
so how
Go
did
ahead,
your
sorry.
client come to this number, and how, anything interesting about the negotiations or the conversation, especially when you knew they could choose something different at any moment?
I think a lot of the conversation in regards to this was, well, it's just that there's a lot of other options out there. And Andrew was just spelling out all of the other options that are available, especially when you get into these alternative spelling kinds of names, that there is a lot of competition out there. And so,
Yeah.
The buyer was at a particular number and the seller was at a particular number, and this information was explained to the owner in exactly the way that Drew said it. And I think that there was a realization that there are other options, but at the same time, I think the buyer realized that that of all those spellings, that this particular one makes the most sense for their business, and they probably liked it the most. So they were willing to go above what they were willing to spend. And I think the other thing is that we need to look at with a lot of sellers is you have to be honest with yourself and look at the history of the name, how many offers you've gotten in the past, how many people have inquired in the past, how long have you owned the domain name. I mean, I'm sure, Drew, you've purchased plenty of names that you're like, this is the best purchase I've ever made. And then you're kind of still sitting on it thinking there'd be tons of buyers and there just nobody really likes it. And that could happen in a name that you've invested in, or one that you've taken to market thinking that you're going to sell this in a week and you get no offers and nobody likes it. Like, it kind of, some of these names are total winners, and other times when someone comes along, you get to be honest with yourself and you get to say, you know what, I think we should probably take the money and run here and move on to the next opportunity.
You know what the biggest loser for me, well, I don't know if it's the biggest loser, but I just was thinking about this like 2 days ago. We have Murphy.com, which is the #1 most popular Irish name in the world. There are like, I don't know, 5 huge companies called Murphy. And this name, I mean, I think we've had like 1 inquiry ever. It's just nobody gives a shit. You would think there would at least be like a bunch of guys named Kevin Murphy that would be like emailing me and be like, can I have this for $5? But nobody. It's just a ghost town. Murphy.com is a ghost town.
I'll give you $25 for it right now.
So, for 1 hour.
I literally know 2 guys named Kevin Murphy. I bet we could do a poll. How many?
I know. I grew up Irish. Oh my God.
There's like probably, what do you mean? Did that change at some point?
Oh, no. No, yeah. Well, no, sorry, no, I grew up in a really Irish community. I moved to Florida, and we're just like a cesspool of disease down here. So.
For a minute, for a minute, I thought maybe Alan and I were related. He grew up in
you guys from the same place?
Yeah, her grandparents.
Yeah, in St. John's, Newfoundland, which is tiny.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Like we had this great conversation. I got all excited and interested, and then I left, and all of a sudden I'm like thinking, and I'm like, that's such a tiny, close-knit community. What if we're related? So then I like messaged my mom, and I was like, I need all the last names from the family over there. But we're not related.
Yeah, it's true. Mom was a teacher, and I swear we can't go through the grocery store without knowing about 30 people. She's taught like thousands of students over the years. So it is a really small town. It's beautiful though. I love it.
We own talk about a ghost town. A ghost town domain name. We own Newfoundland.com, and I mean that's another one, just ghost town. Nobody wants that thing. Not only do we have Newfoundland.com, but we have Newfound.land. I got that in the sunrise, but as if it matters.
Well, you got the market cornered when the time is right.
Well, technically the province is called Newfoundland and Labrador, right? So it's. Yeah. Even the marketing for the province, it's really hard to like just differentiate the two, because technically it's not. It's the two, the island and Labrador are the province, right? So.
And probably the bigger problem is that 14 people live there.
18.
All right, Alan, I'm starting to suspect you might be stalling.
Alan, do you know the Henderson family?
No, I do not. But I do know some Hendersons, but I don't know about
from Newfoundland. They're not from Newfoundland, but it's like a third, fourth generation. They've got a big presence there. They own a lot of land.
I might. I mean, and there's Lisa Henderson and a few people. I'm not really sure. I know the name.
Yeah.
It's like Murphy. I mean, like there's 200 Murphys, right?
Yeah.
All right, Alan, what's a domain you bought or sold lately? I know that NameCorp is very private. Is there anything you're able to share the actual name, or otherwise we can dance around it?
Yeah, I'd rather not. But it's funny because the name that Jeff brought up is a pretty good lead into something we're kind of in the middle of. So it'd be nice to get your guys' opinion on this too. So there's a name price. I'm not going to give you the exact price, but let's say it's $600,000, and the buyer is going through kind of a friend through me. So the buyer is going through this one person, and they're coming to me. And so we offered 50,000. Now we're up to like, I think 120. But I know it's not going to be anywhere close to this. Excuse me. So it's a really awkward position for this person. And I keep telling him, you have to almost remove yourself from a situation and pass them on to me, because the company, I think, is starting to feel like he's trying to hustle him. But the fact is, if a house is priced at $600,000, I mean, you're not going to come in with a $60,000 offer. I mean, the person is just going to say no. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, like in that situation, I'm just telling him he has to kind of like, either use me or use somebody else. He's still going to get the same answer. But there's, at what point do you take out the third party and maybe just recommend, listen, you don't want to burn your bridge or, make you look like the hustler, because you're not. I mean, you're just relaying information. But if you can't get a counter offer on an offer that's 10% of the purchase price, I mean, that's normal. I mean, I wouldn't counter that. It's a tough situation. So.
We asked for a conference call for all parties to be involved, and we all have a strategy meeting.
Yeah.
That you present the facts as to what's going on, and you let them know what's happening, and gauge how serious the buyer is. And if they're taking the attitude that the domain isn't worth that much to them, or they don't have the money, then you suggest something else, like Newfoundland.com, and then
well, our premier,
I mean, to me, that's, and if the third party who is in between you two is unwilling to do that, then the question is why?
Yeah.
And so why aren't you bringing me in? You brought me in to get you this far. Let's work as a team together here. I'm not going to go around you, and let's work on this as a team and think of the best strategy and then go forward with it, because that's my attitude when somebody hires me to acquire a domain name, is that I'm working for them and I want to help them get the best deal possible and make something happen. Right.
Yeah, no, I think it's critical to do that. I think, part of this is you have to, you said it earlier, Jeff, and I know you've done it too, Andrew, is you kind of have to be really transparent with some of these people and just explain to them the whole situation. And it's 4 letters are crazy. I mean, 4 letters can be extremely expensive sometimes. So.
Like 4-letter words.
No, this is actually an acronym.
Random 4 letters.
This is actually, yeah. Well, no, it's a pronounceable radio test kind of.
Okay.
So. Well, I'm not going to tell you the owner, but the owner would jack up the price.
Yeah.
So it's good to have a couple stories too that you can tell, examples of other situations where someone came in, made too lowball an offer, and then the seller wasn't willing to invest their time to discuss further, or.
I mean, I think ultimately that's where our value is like the relationships that we have with the sellers. If it is somebody we have a relationship with, like we have that ability to sort of just say, hey, here's what's up. But if it's not somebody you have a particular relationship with, then it's very tricky. But
sometimes you have a combination of the middleman is worried they're going to get cut out of their referral fee, or the real buyer is just super nervous about privacy or that that'll affect the price. But obviously, it's not a big corporation or they wouldn't be pulling this.
We've got a major problem right now where, we're acting as a buyer's broker. There's another broker in the industry, I won't mention names, who represents the seller. This is a name that's been on the market for a long time. And, our buyer has basically agreed to all terms, right? It wants to remain anonymous, wants, basically just wants the standard things that people hire us to do as a buyer's broker. And, the seller and the seller's representative are like just getting real skeptical and anxious. And it's like, it's just so unproductive. It's like, this is the price you asked. This is the price, the terms you asked. This is the contract you asked for. But it's like, it's never enough. Once they get that itch of like, wow, like, I think there's more, or, how much is your commission? And it's like, stop, people just get very, I don't know, people have a lot of anxiety. I think that's, at the end of the day, I think people just have a lot of anxiety. They lose sight of the fact that it's like, set a price. What Jay-Z, I love quoting Jay-Z. Jay-Z, one of those smartest people alive, swear to God. You want to find knowledge, you want to find the answer to a question about life, just listen to Jay-Z. He's got the answers. He said, just set the price and live your life. I won't finish the sentence. It's got some slurs things. But it's like, just set the price and live your life. And that's it. It's just, you've got an asset, you want to sell it, or even if you get an unsolicited inbound inquiry, if you've got an inkling, you want to sell it, set the price and live your life. That's it. People get all anxious and jittery, and then deals fall apart. This deal's going to fall apart. We're going to lose. This is probably going to lose it's a 7-figure deal. It's a low 7-figure deal, and probably going to fall through because you have an anxious broker and an anxious seller, and they're feeding off another and getting anxious. And that's,
Yeah, no, I see that a lot too. I think it's weird because this industry is, especially brokers. I mean, we're all fairly small companies, right? I mean, 5, 6, 7 employees or whatever. But there's a lot of people that are just like 1 and 2 people, and you're right. I mean, this deal may just make their year or something, and they're just so anxious to get paid. And you know how long it takes. I mean, Jeff, as well too. Some of these deals take 6 months, 9 months. I mean, it's a long time. And the only reason, we have the resumes we do is because we've put the time in. Like, if you started 6 months ago, you're not going to have sold $10 million in domains. If you do, you're pretty lucky. But you're it's not going to happen. Right? So,
I think a lot of the times when I've dealt with other parties that are acting this way, if they're willing to get on the phone with you, they've probably been burned by somebody before.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's probably true.
Somewhere in there that there's some scarring, and that it requires some reassurances as to what's happening and what's going on. And when they ask me what my commission is, I make it clear that the buyer and I already have an agreement, and this is what we're getting paid. And that's what I say. I just come out and say it, because eventually all the laundry is going to come out anyway, and they're going to see it. And if they say, well, we want part of your commission, then, you need to kind of get into that in the beginning. I think, like, if you called me, Drew, and you said, I'm being paid by my person, I see you're representing it, I want you to be paid by you in the beginning. And we totally understand where the ropes are or the lines are drawn, and we go and do that deal. And now midway through the deal, I call you and say, Drew, your offer is fine, but now I'm not getting paid anymore. Like, you and I need to figure something out. We'll figure something out together.
Yeah.
If you don't set the boundaries early and you don't cover those kinds of situations ahead of time so everybody understands, sometimes there's miscommunications or hard feelings or things that come up when they say, oh, you're making $25,000 on this deal, and that's a lot of work for a couple of emails, and blah, blah, blah. Then that's an issue, because they don't really see that you've spent hours upon hours trying to explain to your client why the domain's worth what it is. Maybe they went for something else. Maybe you pitched that name and found them the buyer. There'd be no deal without you, and now they're telling you you're not worth the money. There's all kinds of things that can happen, and I've always found that just when working with another industry broker, really making it known that, we're going to split it 50-50, we'll split it 50-50. If we're going to work on our own sides, we're going to work on our own sides, and if you're so worried about who my seller is, my question back is, why does it matter?
Yeah.
And these are all the things. Like, you gave me a price,
Why?
you agreed to the price.
Yeah.
I'm still getting my share. You're getting your share. What's the problem here?
You wanted your contract, we gave you your contract. You wanted your jurisdiction, we gave you your jurisdiction. It's like,
what's the problem?
And so to your point, in this particular case, we actually did. Sorry,
I know you can't go into it anymore, so I'm being like,
Oh, I actually kind of almost don't give a fuck. I'd almost be ready
to
name names, to be honest. But I feel bad because I kind of hijacked Alan's story. It was like Alan's deal, asking for advice, and then.
No, it's actually, I'm glad you guys segued into that, because we had this experience 2 weeks ago where the deal was $375,000. But it was the accumulation of almost a year and a half work, right? Finally, there was a deal in August. It fell through. Apparently, the guy who actually made the offer didn't have the authority to make the offer. So the CEO called me.
So the story goes.
I know, right? So the CEO called me and said, "Listen, we're gonna get back to you by the end of the year, and we'll get this deal done." And they always say that, right? So, but they did. They came back on probably the early part of December. And when you talk about asking all the questions up front, we've been dealing with the seller for almost a year, and it wasn't until we gave him the final contract that I knew he had an attorney. All the red lines we'd done before that, he sent back. I had no idea he had an attorney. And then all of a sudden, we have the attorney wanting to review the escrow terms, go through everything, want to question our commission and everything. Like there was a point there where I even had to get counsel and figure out like what my steps were to protect kind of our work, because there was a thought that because the attorney was seeing we were getting paid X amount, that he might stall the transaction and try to do the escrow himself. So. Yeah, you have to figure out who all the parties are involved and everybody's roles and responsibilities and fees kind of well before you get to closing. So, yeah, so that's my thought.
Yeah, these deals are really complex, and people who think, especially corporations who think they can do it themselves, don't really understand how much the experience of each of you brokers contributes to the success of the deals, to the price point of the deals, but also minimizes the time that anyone has to put into this. And Drew, I love your quote, "Time kills deals."
Yeah.
So,
Can we get a website up about drewsquotes.com?
Yes, but
there's always a good one.
I've already been envisioning, Drew's here quoting Jay-Z. We had Jeff on, what did you say earlier? The hole in the bucket. And I just want,
Dear Liza.
Yeah, hole in the bucket, Dear Liza. That's an old song.
Dear Liza.
I want to put them
My grandmother used to sing
together and see how they turn. Maybe with Mother Teresa dancing to it. And
again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want Jay-Z to quote Drew, and that's it. My life's complete.
If that happened, I'd just be like, all right, mic drop, Doc, walk away, I'm done.
Drew's just going to start saying lots of things that he thinks Jay-Z might say, and then just claim it. Got to own it. I actually think this was a more beneficial conversation than our planned investor portfolio review. How about we skip the investor portfolio review? We can do that next time. And if there's anything else you want to talk about in common broker struggles, cool. And if not, we can move on to NameJet. What do you guys think?
That's fine.
Move on to NameJet.
All right, let's do this. Let's take a break for a second for our sponsors. So let me tell you about our sponsors for today's show who support us in our mission to educate people in the domain industry.
FD was built by domain investors to increase your inquiries, sales, and profit. Forget spreadsheets and archived emails. Manage your entire investment portfolio in one place using a secure and completely confidential platform. Learn more at ft.com. That's EFTY, ft.com.
All right. So it's time for the final segment of the Sherpa Review, where we look at the marketplace list. This segment is sponsored by NameJet. We're reviewing domains heading to auction soon. If you like one of the names below, you want to click through before they go to auction, because otherwise you lose your chance to put in a minimum bid or even just watch what's going on. So just transparency question, none of you own or are brokering any of the names we're discussing today, correct?
Negative.
Yeah.
All right.
Let me just ask something. Is it accurate, Alan? Were you the first third-party seller on NameJet ever?
I don't know if I was the third. I don't know if I was the first, but I was the top seller for 3 years in a row there.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure if I was the first. I think I was one of the. I know I was one of the first to get my names into the expiration feed kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not entirely sure who else was there.
So humble.
No, it was fun. It was great seeing all my names on the homepage of Snap Names. It was great.
How did you get that going?
I think, it was one of those things. I just had this whole portfolio of names like homevalues.net. I don't know, mortgage.
It's all SEO names.
Yeah, they were all. I was getting out of the mortgage kind of industry, and I just emailed somebody over there one day, and we put a few up for auction. I think one went for like 39,000 or something, and then I had this whole portfolio. So I was like, let's get going. Let's get rid of it.
Boom, let's go.
Unload it.
Nice.
Yeah.
When was this around?
Say it again.
Around what year was that?
Oh God, 2007 maybe 2006, 7. It was really interesting, actually. One thing you guys will probably love about this, there was a flaw in the technology. Is whenever somebody purchased one of our names, you get an email from Snap Names saying that congratulations, you've executed this order, it's now in your account, right? Well, it's funny because Snap Names would also copy me on that email. So I was getting all the buyer's information too.
Oh,
it was fabulous.
amazing.
What'd you do with that?
I had to spend a lot of hours and a lot of digging to get all that information.
Yeah, I did a lot of good reverse US searches.
Yeah.
I bet you did. That's amazing.
But actually, I go back to one of the best things I ever did was years ago. And this is something actually anybody listening, if it's something you can replicate today, is a lot of these big portfollios, they have they're acquired day by day, right? They're acquired. I call it kind of Groundhog Day. You get on auctions, you bid on what's really good today, but you never really go back and look at your portfolio. You look at it, but you don't really analyze it.
No.
I think I remember it was like 2005 or 6 or something. It was either before I kind of started selling Snap Names or just like shortly after. I remember I purchased a reverse whois of all of Kevin Ham's names. And I just went through the whole list and I started getting the plural. If he had the singular, I got the plural. And if he had the plural, I got the singular. And then, over the course of a year, I threw him up a NameJet, and the sell-through rate was phenomenal, right? Because people, they would look at the singular and they would say that, hey, Kevin owns it. Or they would, and they're like, oh, well, this guy
automatically, that domain is $1 million, so I can spend $10,000 for this.
Yeah. It was phenomenal just watching it. I mean, they're all, and I think today you can even still build a pretty good portfolio by looking at some of these and just kind of, if a name is priced at 20,000 and a singular makes sense. There's all that semantics to it, but it's definitely worth more than $9. And there's still a lot of opportunity in unregistered domains, I think. So.
In unregistered names.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I don't think you're going to build a $1 billion portfolio, but I do think you can. I mean, if you go back to the email we got today and the ones that somebody has registered and they've held on to for 13 years now, they're all useless pretty much. I mean, you can register better names than that today, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. All right.
I was thinking about actually, like, I didn't think of this through very, thoroughly, but I think it would be cool to, like, find somebody that has the right attitude, no experience in the domain business, and basically sponsor them, like a brand sponsors an athlete, and sponsor them to, like, just record all of their actions, give them some guidance, and basically mentor them to go from a zero or over, set a time period, 1 year, 6 months, whatever, and see if it can be done. Like, I really actually want to know. Like, I really want to know, can you come in today, blind and broke, and build a living? Can you come in and build a living
with $0?
You got to have someone. I mean, you got to have.
Yeah, you gotta have a
$10,000 in spending money. If you don't have $10,000 in spending money, you're gonna have a hard time.
And to
It's
be
gonna
able
be a
to
very
and
long
be able
road.
to be able to support yourself in a year on your domain sales and your acquisitions and your flips and things like that.
I mean, I haven't thought this through so
I like
thoroughly.
this as a Sherpa challenge. And maybe,
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking about. It's like you
actually-
follow them with a weekly sort of update. I bought this domain, I bought that domain, I sold this domain, and totally just transparent. It's got to be somebody that's a zero. It's got to come from zero. And I don't know.
I actually think it's possible because 10 years ago we were all talking about all the good names are gone, right? I mean, that was the kind of and even today a lot of people say all the good names are gone. But
I say it.
yeah, but you've heard this, like you've seen over the last 5 or 6 years, you've seen the Booth brothers come in and kick ass. You've seen
but they're not registering new names. They're
no
names that are 25 years old.
Yeah. But they did. I mean, they were buying like 3 numbers and stuff at the three letters when they started and stuff. And then you have other people too who were buying. They're kind of new names, but they're making pretty good money. Yeah, I think
revised. I think there should be 2 people. One does your challenge, which is they start, both people start with, let's say, $5,000, $10,000. Okay. And maybe that's sponsorship money. Maybe we find somebody that's, just young, hungry with no money. And we get a few companies, we sponsor them, because I think it would actually be really interesting as a case study. Because I mean, we all want to make domain investing like a much bigger market. Like, makes sense. So, but imagine you've got one guy that, you got to give him the same sort of starting point. But one guy's going to only be able to register new domains or buy expired names on the drop, but not at auction. And then the other guy can do whatever, like, or basically he can do whatever except buy expired names, or maybe he can just do whatever. And so he's in the auctions, he's contacting people, domain owners, to try and buy them on the cheap. He's in all the wholesale nooks and crannies, et cetera, et cetera. I think that would be super interesting, and see what the outcome is after 6 months or a year or something.
No, I think it'd be great. I'd be willing to do that. That'd be funny. I have to find the right person. I mean, this industry is not just like registering domains. You need to understand logic. You need to. Yeah. There's so much more. You find the right person, though. Yeah, I'm in.
How horrible is it that it's so hard to find somebody that understands logic? Unfortunately, that's the world we live in.
Yeah. No, actually, I know a big company. I won't say the name, but I know a huge company that was looking for a domain name manager. They finally found one after 2.5 years. And This is a huge company that's like a public company. They couldn't find anybody with the experience to actually manage the portfolio, understand registrars, and all that stuff. It's crazy.
wow.
Disney?
What? Say it again?
Disney?
Was it Disney out? No.
No, it wasn't Disney. No.
I really want to know who got that job at Disney. It got a lot of traction in the domain industry, a lot of attention, and I've never seen it from another corporation.
I wonder if they filled that job. Anyways,
I don't know. I'm afraid of theme parks.
yeah, I don't mess with theme parks. I don't do that.
Have you ever seen the Wikipedia article of all the people that have gotten hurt at Disney World?
No, I'd
No,
love
send
So
it
it's
to me.
like through
Please
the
send that
years,
to me.
all of the insurance claims and injuries, it's just one after another after another. It goes all the way down. It's
Like, I wonder, like, is that like weekly, monthly, daily? Like, how often do they
I think it
get
does it
those
yearly.
claims?
It shows like blocks of people like getting eaten by crocodiles, hurt on rides, like other horrible stuff going on there. It's a legit article.
Wow. I mean, a Wikipedia article, that's pretty serious.
Yep.
So
Going down the rabbit hole right now.
yes, there's not going to be a NamesCon Disney anytime soon. With
I don't think so.
Thank the Lord.
No, I'm going to pass on that one.
man. Crocodiles aren't going to eat me.
I got sick enough with the Playboy Mansion. I'm not messing with Disney
Yeah,
World.
same with me. Jesus.
I live in Florida. Everybody who visits me wants to go to Disney World.
By the way, you know, you got the Legionnaire's disease, Jeff?
Did you?
Yeah, I did too. Did you know that we're at significantly higher risk of this coronavirus, that we could potentially become one of these high risk 23% that ends up with their heart exploding?
Excuse me? My heart exploding?
Yeah, you'll like be bleeding out of your mouth and your heart explodes and you're fucking done.
Oh, because we've had Legionnaire's disease? Really?
Yeah. Seriously, it was one of the diseases that was considered a pre-existing condition.
Oh,
Having
Just for
previously,
anyone listening who has no clue what you're talking about, quite a few domain
200 to be exact, 200 people got infected with
contracted
Legionnaire's disease
years ago
2011.
when they got the Playboy plague.
The Playboy plague.
Playboy plague, yeah.
Not as much fun to get as you might think.
Yeah.
My favorite part, though, is that Drew and his wife were standing right next to the misters that were infected. And Drew's wife, who is so wonderful.
The misters meaning like the water mist.
So many possible interpretations. Okay, let's do this. Drew, you're first. What do you think of the NameJet list? We have Money Zone, Beta Site, Aquaterra, all sorts of things.
Okay, so I don't love the list, but it's also not the worst list they've sent us. I think I really dislike Shrew.com. That was offered to me by like 3 different people.
Yeah, I've seen that around before too.
That was a booth name at some point. And I don't know, Shrew is like, who wants to be called a shrew? You know, like I don't know.
Like mouse-like creature.
It's like a little mouse-like rodent, nasty little thing. You know,
I like kunai. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, kunai was kind of cool. I assume it's like a Hawaiian island or something, or a word. I don't know.
It's a kind of a Japanese knife, I think, or tool.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's dope. I really like. My favorite name on the list is Aquaterra. I really like Aquaterra.
What does that mean in Spanish?
I mean, water, land. What land of water? Basically, land of water.
I thought you'd like Pensado, Drew. I thought you'd pick that. That's what I was thinking.
I like gallstone too, just because it's it's a major medical condition. It needs there's a lot of new stuff coming up about gallstones. It's like an
when I was a
overlooked.
we sold bunions for a lot of money. Bunions.com. So
Bunions.com. I got a bunion. You know.
Can you give us a price range and how long ago?
It was almost
my bunion.
It was 3 years ago.
I'll give you my bunion for like $1.25.
It sounds like the Playboy plague.
For $1.25. But Pensado, I briefly searched it. It's a last name, and it also means to like think or thought out. So I don't know, what is that? Is that what that means?
Yeah. So, but that's the thing. It's
loose?
past tense. So pensando would be like I'm thinking. I'm thinking about. And pensado is like I thought about. So it's like a Mars. That's like the equivalent of a Mars. After what is this thing? Afterthought.
Yeah.
After,
Do
yeah.
you still have that? I like that. That was a great blog name. Afterthought, like a personal blog.
I think that's still the name of one of his companies. I don't think he has the blog anymore.
Afterthought. Let's see. But basically, that's kind of, sort of what it means.
Okay, so it's not really a great.
Oh my God!
Really a great name.
Don't go there. Don't go to afterthought.com.
Just has a big picture of Amar.
Does it really?
It doesn't really.
It's like a full screen size picture of Amar. It's a picture you will never be able to get out of your mind.
I got it. Once you see it, you can never unsee it.
Time to change the background, boys.
Dear God.
Oh, there you go. I love it.
Okay.
Whenever I'm missing Amar, I'm going to afterthought.com.
Yeah.
So Alan, let's take what you just said about Kevin Ham adding the S to his domains. What about this? So you're saying pensando is like Amar's afterthought. I literally think people listening to this show are going to connect those two thoughts. Do you think that's a good second tier investment or no? To have a Spanish version of a good idea of a domain.
I think the Spanish names don't
Yeah.
really command the same prices typically, especially the ones that are kind of like second or third tier names. I mean, I personally wouldn't invest in many Spanish names unless they're really strong Spanish words. That's my attitude about it.
Yeah.
This is kind of a second or third tier Spanish word. So, and it also is, it just doesn't seem to have, it's not one that people who speak English know, for that matter. And then there's also, as Drew is saying, it's the wrong tense, right? Or of the idea. So I probably wouldn't really go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But maybe Amar will buy it for his Spanish rollout into to the Latin American market, right?
We'll see. Drew, what do you think Aquaterra is worth? What's a good price to pay for that?
I love
cheap. Like maybe
you're cheap
like
and somebody else is cheap.
under $1,000. Like I'd want to own that name for under $1,000, and I'd probably sell it in the 15 to 25 range. I may adjust that if I actually
1,500 or 15,000.
15,000 to 25,000.
Okay. And how long do you think it would take to sell? Years?
Probably a decade.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Alan.
But again, that depends on if you go out and proactively sell it or if you just tuck it away and wait.
Sure. All right. Alan, what stands out to you on this list?
I like Money Zone, but I have to look at the trademark more and see. I mean, money is a pretty trademark term.
Yeah.
I do like it though. I mean, it's Zone is one of the most popular suffixes.
Totally.
Obviously there's even extension .zone.
Is there? I was just going to ask that. Is there a .zone?
There is. I'm pretty sure there is. Nick.zone. It is. It's a donuts extension.
Oh, look at that. I've never even heard of .zone. I kind of like .zone.
Yeah, I think Money Zone is probably one of my favorite. Shrew, I don't like. I really don't. Marketing Summit, I like, but your buyer is going to be limited to a marketing summit. So I have to dig into that more. I mean, they're two good words. I mean, but yeah, I don't know. It's not the Kanai I love.
What do you
that's
think
my
about
favorite.
fingertip.com?
No, don't like it at all.
If it was plural, it'd be good, but not singular.
Oh man, Shrew has got to be the worst domain on the planet. Sorry, I actually looked up who owns this, and he's a very nice guy. We all know him very well. And I'm sorry, but you purchased a bad domain. Roy. Sorry, Roy. But yeah, the definition of a shrew, I mean, there's the animal, and then the connotation outside of the animal is to refer to a woman who is argumentative, nagging, and ill-tempered.
Oh, did you guys not know that? Like, I thought you were just being nice. Shakespeare, The Taming of the Shrew, and he's talking about like a horrible wife.
No, okay, yeah. Good
I
point.
think the only chance for shrew is if you can find another language that and sell it in France or Arabic or some other language, some other place. Otherwise, good luck. But
or it could be like an ex-girlfriend. Oh no, I think they're illegal now.
Yeah, they're illegal. What about India Tech or cheap stuff? I don't know if Alan, you want to keep talking or.
Well, no. So the cheap stuff. I actually like to talk about that one. I think that's probably a domain that lot. I call it a domainer's domain. It's one of those things. It's not really a good brand. It's really popular. It's got great search results and all that stuff, but it's one of those which, if you go to rank, you're probably just going to get outranked by brands anyhow.
I think that was a name that probably would have been good in the early 2000s or the late 90s, when it was before all the big brands got on the internet, that you'd find that website to buy a cheap pair of sneakers or something like that. But now it's just not going to be there. I don't see it.
In general, I'm just not a big fan of things which are brands which are cheap or free, because it makes it, like, by definition, difficult to monetize. You're talking to a very price sensitive customer. And I think we own a couple that are like that. We have low fare or low price. Oh, low budget. Lowbudget.com. I remember I bought that off Rick Latona for $5,000. And or maybe it was Toby. Well, one of them. I bought out for $5,000, and I remember thinking, wow, lowbudget.com for $5,000, that's a steal. But then, it was like, again, ghost town. I don't think we've ever had a single lead for that domain, ever.
So if you had your pretend investor here on the show, and they had to buy one of these domains, what domain would you recommend, and at what maximum price?
Ooh, good
I would hope that investor wouldn't take our recommendation without actually going through the trademarks, looking at the Google search results.
Agreed.
I think if he just takes a recommendation of even 10 people without looking at that other stuff, he's not the right guy for our project.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is just an off the cuff question too. But all
right, let me address it. So marketingsummit.com, I would say, is like the most safe bet in here, right? Like, if you got that really cheap, like a couple $100, $1,000, like, for sure, there literally probably is 1,000 marketing summits just in the United States alone. And one of them, if you contact all of them, probably one of them will pay you $5,000, $10,000. Maybe you lightning strikes and you get 25, but I doubt it. You probably get more like $5,000 to $10,000. And so I think that's probably like the sure bet vanilla name in here. You're not, if you buy that name for a good price, you're not going to lose money, and you're probably not going to make a ton of money. But it's a pretty straightforward investment, I would say.
Yeah, okay. I'd agree with that, because the company, the buyer, doesn't have to rebrand, right? I mean, this could be a marketing tool for them or whatever. Whereas every other one, for the most part, it is something that
I'd go with Aquaterra.
Okay, and what price?
Well, for an investor, I'd probably say sub $1,000, but like before, similar, like 15 or 20 if you were going to sell it someday. And I can see that there's a wilderness area. Arguably, it's a color. And there's a place in South Africa called it Aquaterra Cape Town. Drew, did you visit Aquaterra when you were in Africa?
I did not. I missed out.
There seems to be some hotels, restaurants.
Oh,
and,
wow.
Omega
There's
watch.
Even Omega. Yeah, Omega. Omega has a watch called the Seamaster Aquaterra.
So I'd probably go with that one, being as generic as it can be. And it does clearly have value to different industries, organizations, or people. So I think that would probably be my winner that I'd go
for. All right. Alan, what's your winner? And don't forget, I think we lost Kunai a little bit in the shuffle here.
I like Kunai too. That would probably be my number 2.
At same price?
You can't.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, I know what a Kunai is. Oh my God, I love this name now.
Yeah.
I just Googled it for the first time. Oh, this is awesome.
I'm making this my number 1 choice because you guys didn't take it yet. So Kunai.
I remember Oh,
I like Kunai. Kunai or Aquaterra.
Well, the more you read about Kunai, it's not as exactly what those pictures are, Drew. Those are not exactly.
Oh no.
No, it's kind of like it's almost like similar to like a trowel for like cement, but it says here that like ninjas can use anything as a weapon, like anything on them.
And there's one video game apparently named that, and that would be an amazing video game name, or a lot of I think different applications, whether it's in tech or, I mean, it sounds cool.
I just want to be a ninja. That's it. I mean,
you Jeff, tell me the truth. You were reading the ninjaencyclopedia.com, weren't you?
I was all in ninja.
I just read all ninjagear.com, and I was reading right now. I'm reading it
because the first sentence on the Ninja Encyclopedia for Kunai is basically, for ninjas, there is no determinate distinction between a tool and a weapon.
Well, yeah, I read that part, but I was reading it on all ninja something. All ninja gear, largest selection of ninja weapons.
Wow, kunai is the most famous weapon of ninjas, second only to the shuriken, whatever that is.
Well, guys, I will see you in the auction for this to me.
So a masonry trowel is the most commonly used Japanese tool.
All right, you still each stand by your top pick?
I do.
Sure.
Oh, a shuriken is basically what we would have referred to as a Chinese star.
Shurikens I hear about at home with my teenage boys. Kunai,
really?
Never, yeah. But, and like I already knew what it was, what it does, what
ninja star.
Things they
I
do.
think a lot of people think it's an island off the coast of Hawaii.
But kunai I've never heard of, but I will market test my two teenagers this afternoon. All right, let's wrap it up. What do you guys want to promote? What's going on in business or personally? What's new? Alan, you are the one who has not been on this show forever, so you get to go first. Domain stories.
Oh, fantastic! No, I think part of this year we're trying to do a few different things, and one of the things I love about our industry is we have so many different stories to tell. I talk to Jeff all the time, talk to Andrew every now and then. And, even at conferences, we can sit down for hours and just talk with different stories. And that's one thing we're trying to bring with the podcast more. There's still a lot of stuff we got to work out, and there's.
Hold on. You can't introduce your podcast. You have to say, I have a podcast. It's called X.
I know, right?
Here.
All right. Well, there's a podcast called Domain Stories, right? DomainStories.com.
Exactly.
So we're going to try to introduce some better stories. Myself, Mark Daniel, a few other people in the industry. There's a bigger plan for this because I think part of the big thing in this industry is I think we constantly, a lot of us talk within our circle kind of thing. So you're talking to the same audience of 300-400 people. And it's proven. I mean, like at NameJet, you take the best domain name, you put mortgage.com on NameJet, and you're probably going to max out at around 250 bidders, right? So that tells you the size of kind of the industry. So part of what we're trying to do this year is actually bring in some stories that it's just they're a bigger audience. They're for brands, they're for founders and stuff like that. So when Ron Jackson kind of announced the blog or the podcast, he kind of jumped the gun. So so we threw a lot of stuff together, but it was it's fun. I mean, I want to do more. I think education is a huge part, and I think hopefully GoDaddy plays a big role in that too and is able to educate the wider audience. I mean, I know you guys have talked about that acquisition, but I think it's a really good opportunity for the industry in the whole. Because we are one big dysfunctional family.
We certainly are.
But yeah, that's
Very cool. Well, congrats on launching it, and I'm very excited to see what more is to come. Jeff, Gabriel, saw.com, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, we just finished January is our first true month in business. This month has been good as well. And what we're really doing is taking the knowledge that I've earned over the years with technology, CRM, and managing people's portfolios, and really starting to get everything rolling. And one of the things that we're focusing on doing, and that's where Amanda Waltz has come in, is that we have a lot of connections in New York and LA with a lot of these branding companies and VCs. And we're really starting to work with them. And what we want to do is bring in more larger portfolios or sellers, help them with their sales on more of a, not on a single one-by-one name basis, but more of on a portfolio basis, and kind of create an ecosystem between, you know, these VCs and marketing companies, and work with them to find the right brands, and continue working with, you know, the similar people to make sales and work together to do that. So we're working with some relatively high profile sellers to do that. And we're working on some larger names and other opportunities to get out there in the market and make some sales. So it's been a wonderful experience. I mean, I've been working on this for a number of months, but you know, we just added 2 more salespeople, and you know, once we get going a little further, we plan on adding a few more, and continuing to spread. Like Alan's saying, a big part is education and educating and providing the resources for people to find that information in an easy way that they can read and actually bring to a business meeting or a boardroom and say, look at this information. I found this on a reputable site from the domain industry, to hopefully help, obviously, our company make more sales and connect more buyers and sellers. But at the same time, it can help educate others in the space to help everyone in the industry do better. And that's the goal.
That's fantastic. Yeah, congrats. Good job. And I guess we'll be watching out for that too. And Andrew Rosener, Media Options, what is going on? What's in the pipes?
Well, let's see. We've got quite a few. We've got quite a bit in the pipeline. Let's see. Where do we start? Well, we've got an amazing deal at the moment. One of our clients, who we sold a couple of names. Well, we sold them a lot of names, but we sold them 2 names recently, and I can't go into detail, but that company is undergoing a change. Let's put it that way. And these 2 domain names will not be a part of that, and that is to some lucky investor or company's benefit. We've got Bloom.com, which we previously sold for a lot of money, and Relief.com, which we previously acquired for this customer for a lot of money, which had never, ever been sold, been on the market, original owner. That was a funny one. That took a long time to acquire for this client, because it was this OG Silicon Valley programmer guy, and I think he even worked for Apple or for Microsoft or Google, one of the big. And his last name was Filer. Relief spelled backwards. We need Mike Mann. Mike Mann can read that shit backwards, like you just said. You know, tell you exactly what it is backwards. Guy's got weird talent. Anyways, yeah, his last name was Relief backwards. So you know, he hung on to it. That was his email address. Anyways, Relief.com, Bloom.com, for sale. I mean, the asking price is $499,000 each, but basically all offers will be considered, and these must be sold in the next 2 weeks. So I know we have a couple of, Chris just took these out to market starting last night. I know we've got a couple of offers that have come in for the package. But I mean, both of those names have a lot of end users. So I think that this is one of the best package name deals I've ever had. So anyways, if Relief.com and Bloom.com, you know a buyer, come knocking sooner rather than later. These names are going to sell.
Very nice.
Beyond that, what else? That's it.
Andrew, what does your sign say behind you?
It says, hold on.
Domain names.
As a service. Oh, that's right.
Domain names as a service.
You have that trademark, don't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Domain names as a service. I had to fight for that trademark too. They rejected my ass. And then I had to push back and I'd say, well, look at all these other stupid things. They said, well, that's generic. Aren't domain names already a service? I said, no, domain names are either property or a contract, right? But they're not a service. And so, anyways.
Well, software as a service, is that trademarked?
It is. I think that's Salesforce, isn't it?
But there's a lot of software.
No, I think it isn't Salesforce, actually. I think it's
there's a lot of companies that offer.
Because we had the opportunity to sell SaaS back in the day. We didn't. I don't remember what happened. If they didn't hire us or.
I don't think they ever acquired that. I remember that actually. That was floating around for a while.
Yeah, they were out to sell it.
No, Kronos bought it.
Who?
SaaS.
Yeah, I mean, we actually just inquired on that for a name, like for a client, like literally a week or two ago. They said absolutely unequivocally not for sale. I'm looking at the email right now. But back in the day, whoop, sorry, somebody's melting down my house.
Is that you crying?
Okay, so back in 2010, whoa. Back in 2010, yeah, we got contacted to sell this. Seeing if they gave us a price.
Oh yeah, I see it here, 2014 actually.
Now I have a voicemail. Let's see, Peter. Oh man, oh what a steal! 2011, it was offered to me for $350,000.
2011, that was a while ago.
2011? Yeah, so
yeah, 2011.
Yeah, in 2014, they would not look at offers of 7 figures. So.
All right, guys, I think it's time to wrap it up. It was really good to see each of you. This was a fun show. Thanks for going with the flow, changing things up. I look forward to the next time we see Drew Rosener in a blazer, that we see Alan Dunn at all. And Jeff, you I don't know, are you going to be on next week too? So there's been a lot of Jeff.
I don't think he's going to let me. I think he's done with me now.
Only if the check comes in the mail.
The last time I checked, you're the one who owes me money.
Jeff, can you put a green screen behind you so I can sponsor?
I owe you a steak. I don't owe you money.
And you owe me $500.
I owe you love and friendship.
Oh, okay. That's what it is.
Oh, actually, you're right. You know what? I actually do, but I do owe you $500. However, for the record, it's your own damn fault because you don't send me the information I need to send it to you.
Well, hey, it might be worth it for me to harass you forever over it.
There's
a lot more value in that.
I know, right?
You would be possibly Tess. You and Tess might be the only two people who can actually say I owe them money in the world. I don't think there's anybody else in the world I owe money to.
I like having that distinction.
You are the fastest player.
All right, guys. We'll see you all next time.
All right. Have a good day. Bye, guys. Nice to see you all.